resurfaced viral video, first posted in April, is reigniting Nigeria's most uncomfortable conversation, and it has been viewed over 1.7 million times on TikTok. A Fulani traveler, identified as Bashir Dalhatu Liman, has alleged that fellow passengers at a Lagos motor park refused to board a GIGM commercial bus with him simply because he is Fulani, with passengers reportedly calling him a herdsman and openly declaring they will not travel with him. Faced with the mounting tension, the transport company refunded his fare and removed him from the bus. Let's take a look.
Since yesterday, I am on my way to Calabar. I go to GUO first. I see there GUO Park. They say they are not going to Calabar. They tell me I have to come to GIGM. Here I am standing GIM. But after I pay the money in the early morning, when I go to Interbus, the passengers say they are not going to travel with Fulani. Just because of I am Fulani, they are not going to travel with me. Which make the GIGM to pay me back, refund me my money. They say they are sorry because passengers say they are not going to travel with Fulani. It's unfortunately. I'm sending this video to the world to know how we feel in our country. Today in Nigeria, just because of your Fulani, people will say they will not travel with you. Unfortunately, it is unfortunately.
Ayo, the reactions online have been fierce and divided, with many Nigerians condemning the discrimination as ethnic profiling, while others have argued that the rampant insecurity linked to armed groups has left ordinary citizens frightened and unable to distinguish between criminals and innocent Fulani civilians. But here's the truth. Bashir Dalhatu Liman is not a criminal. He's a citizen. And every Nigerian citizen deserves the right to travel freely in their own country.
Absolutely. All right. So I'll go back to the press conference held by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, where he had said that the aim of these terrorists was to weaken national unity. And last week had said that he was very spot on, because one of the outcomes that the Nigerian government is going to have to deal with following the success in the war against terrorism, because I believe we're going to win that war, is that we're going to have to find a way to disabuse the minds of Nigerians, particularly when it has to do with ethnic profiling. I recall that during the herdsman farmer clashes, there was a time people kept on saying Fulani herdsman, Fulani herdsman. And that phrase had to be challenged because it was deepening stereotypes against a particular ethnic group. And it's human nature. So that let me not just say that, oh, it's abnormal. Remember after 9/11 and the July attacks in the United Kingdom, a number of people would bat an eyelid or, think twice before getting on a plane when they see people from a certain part of the world, because that had now unfortunately, attached them to a life of criminality. I recall that in the United Kingdom, post the attacks in July, after the 9/11 attacks, the government put up a program around inclusion and involved a lot of community-led organizations to ensure that they were able to build community cohesion, inclusion, so that people in communities would not discriminate against people from a particular extraction. This is a duty for the Office of National Orientation. Let us begin to start thinking about that now. In the same way that certain post-Civil War, NYSC was created to foster that sort of, unity amongst ethnic groups in Nigeria, I believe it's time for us to think of projects like that and commit much needed funds that's community-driven, because we do not want any Nigerian to be discriminated. Absolutely. If we have things like that where it even escalates to even job discrimination, you're also leading the people back to a life of criminality if they are not accepted in society. And so I believe that this is a task on the softer side of this fight against terrorism for the government to begin to think about. Let's not get to that, but we already see that it's happening. Yes. And the truth is that in some ways you can understand why people would behave in that manner. It does not justify it, it does not excuse it, but we need to begin to think of programs geared towards national unity, cohesion, bringing Nigerians back together.
National unity and cohesion is what we should preach.
Mr. Liman should be advised that he can go to court.
Yes.
Because
we have a lawyer in the house.
What has been breached
is his
fundamental human rights.
Yes.
And he can enforce is right to freedom from discrimination
Right.
on the grounds of ethnicity, religion, birth, or circumstances. Section 42 of the Constitution, and also his freedom of movement.
Correct.
You know, and all of those sections between sections 36 to 45.
Correct.
You should go to court.
Go to court.
And this will be a valid,
Right.
circumstance
Right.
in which you can do
Dr.
so.
Bati, we have a story about go to court with your principal. Good luck, Jonathan. We'll take that story.
No, that's politics.
No,
I'm
no,
talking
because
about
court.
fundamental human
Okay,
rights.
so political court is different. Well, all right. Unity and cohesion, and the protests are going global. What started as outrage over the kidnapping of over 40 students and teachers from 3 Oyo State schools has now crossed borders. New videos surfaced online this weekend show Nigerians in Toronto, Canada, taking to the streets carrying placards reading, "Bring back our children and end bad governance," right in the heart of the iconic Eaton Center. Let's take a look.
We are gathered because of 39 students and 7 teachers were kidnapped from their school in Oyo State on May 15, 2026. One teacher has been killed. The rest are still missing. But Oyo 39 is not the only story. We need to end all the governors in all the states.
All right, Vimbai. I mean, the movement is growing louder from Lagos to Abeokuta to Abuja, now to Toronto. The message is the same. The federal government must do more to protect its citizens. The Nigerian diaspora has always been one of this country's most powerful voices, and now they have taken to the streets of Canada. The world is watching. But, meanwhile, in a heartbreaking scene from Maitama, Abuja, a mother and her 3 children dressed in school uniforms took to the streets pleading for the rescue of kidnapped pupils and admitting she now lives in fear of the school run. She spoke with State House correspondent Adeswa Omoruwan.
Can I speak to you? Okay. So why have you decided to do this? And I see these young kids that are supposed to be in school. This is a form of protest. Tell me why you're doing this.
Because I'm scared of taking my children to school.
Why is that so?
Because of what is happening. Children, I don't even know what to even say, but I'm just scared of taking my children to school. It's not safe.
And how long do you intend to do this?
For as long as I can.
What is the message and who is this message directed to?
The president to attend to those children that they kidnapped.
Thank you very much.
This is devastating. Devastating, Avimba. Your thoughts?
I really can relate to the anxiety she's feeling, because all of us, we are not in Oyo State, but the anxiety has resonated with all of us. Everybody I know is putting in extra measures to ensure that especially the children are as secure as possible. And then you ask yourself, wow, so I'm in a privileged position that I even have precautionary measures that I can put into place. What about those who don't? What about those who are just simply exposed to all the elements out there? And, I really commend her for taking a stand, although, the young ones should go to school. The young children that are there, the school term is on at the moment, and I hope those children made it to school after this protest. But just quickly to speak on the Nigerians in the diaspora, protesting and the protest spreading, I have to commend Nigerians, because Nigerians have a superpower of being able to mobilize. That's one thing you can't take away from Nigerians. And that's why every time we see some of these instances of people coming together for a cause, we say to ourselves, what then stops us from being able to mobilize to this level of ability when it comes to just getting things to work in Nigeria? Because there are so many people who love this country and who are good-natured, who want the best for this country, who are ready to come out and make an an effort and make their voices heard. And, you know, that's why it hurts when it seems that some of the conditions in the country continue to fail people, because under normal circumstances, a lot of these people would come home. People want to come home, but, you know, conditions.
Well, you know, Ayo, you made a valid point when we discussed the children that were out of school in Abuja protesting. You talked about
issue in Lagos State should actually face a fine or up to a third warning jail time if she prevents her children from going to school during term time.
Despite the fear?
Yes. However,
UBEC Act.
However, I don't want to invalidate her concerns.
Correct. Yeah.
Just like Bimbai mentioned, some people are privileged to be able to take care of their children, but some women or some parents would rather pay fine and have peace of mind that their child will not be abducted. And this goes against the Safe School initiative, the idea that school ought to be a safe space for children to learn in a conducive environment.
I mean, this is what insecurity is causing right now in our nation. Mothers not wanting to take their children to school. Well, you spoke about Nigerians in the diaspora. Meanwhile, as xenophobic attacks continue to spike in South Africa, claiming the lives of at least 2 Nigerians, the federal government of Nigeria has moved to bring its people home. NIDCOM chairman and CEO Abike Dabiri Erewa has confirmed that over 1,000 Nigerians have now undergone screening for voluntary repatriation, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu personally approving funds for the evacuation. 5 Airpeace flights have been approved, with the first batch of returnees expected to depart South Africa this coming week. I believe there's even one leaving today on Monday. Right. All right. You know, this is a welcome and decisive move from the federal government, and the message is clear. No Nigerian will be abandoned. But the harder question remains, what support awaits these returning citizens at home? And more importantly, what is Nigeria doing diplomatically to ensure that xenophobic violence against its people in South Africa never reaches this level again? I mean,